Hello, everybody. Welcome to Gird Your Loins. Thank you for joining us. We have just been struggling to get this back together. So the first hurdle that we had to get over was the fact that OneDrive apparently decided to sync everything with my laptop without my knowledge, and then removed all of my presets for everything you see, this blue border and the name and the music and all the things. And so that takes a lot of time for somebody like myself that doesn't understand anything that I'm doing. So that was just all gone because it had moved it into the cloud, literally into the ether. And then the program that I'm using couldn't find it. And then I didn't know where to put it back. So even though I could find it on OneDrive, I didn't know where I was supposed to put it. Somehow I randomly kept pushing buttons and banging on things until we figured it out.
Hit it hard enough and it'll work.
Yeah. But in all that mess, at least I got time to get some coffee. This time. I didn't forget my coffee this time. And so Noah is just about done school. He's almost graduated from Cairn University. And what was your major? Pastoral ministry. And then he's going to be going on to Westminster Seminary. That's the plan. Well, you know what they say about people that make plans. Come on, many are the plans.
Oh. Yeah.
No? All right. You didn't memorize that one? Okay, that's fine.
No.
I didn't memorize it either. I was just hoping you did. You don't have the whole Bible committed to memory yet?
No, not yet.
All right. Get cracking. So, Noah's got that exciting thing going on. I caught a turtle today, and then I lost it all within, I don't know, 2 hours. I built a pig pen that I don't have a pig in yet. So when I got the turtle out of the road, and I was like, I'm going to keep this turtle, and I stuck it in my pig pen. And then apparently they can climb well enough to get out of the pallet. I don't know. I thought, this is turtle proof. There's no way this thing's getting out of here. The turtles can't climb things. It's flat on the ground and it can't lift its stubby arms up. But he proved me wrong. So he made a break for it, and now his life will just be worse. It's on him. I can't be held responsible.
Made a break straight for the casino.
I dug him an in-ground pool and everything. This ungrateful turtle. All he did was get rescued from the middle of a road, and then was given a palatial estate with an in-ground pool, and then he bolted for the hills. So no pet turtle for me, but there'll be more animals to come. I'll find them again. So this thing that's been on my heart, I think burning in my heart, that I've been wanting to talk. I keep thinking this article is on my phone, and it's not. This thing that's been burning on my heart. Very important amidst all the things going on in the world today. Being June, it's gay month, you know.
Skittles going white.
Which I was so happy. I was so happy that gay month was June, which is when my birthday takes place. So it's just... Everybody knew June as the most masculine of months previously. And I think that's why they put it on June, because they knew how testosterone laden it was. And they're like, let's just gay this whole thing up as much as possible and ruin it for Brett. Ruin it. The shining star of the month of June. So...
But You've seen the Skittles thing, right?
Huh?
You've seen the Skittles thing that they've been doing for the past few years during June?
No, what?
They get rid of the color of all the Skittles.
Oh, they go backwards?
White.
Oh, okay.
They just make everything white.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Like, isn't that maybe not the right way to go?
It's pretty based. Pretty based.
It's like the 1 month where Skittles is...
They made all of them white.
Is okay to be white.
For White Boy Summer. So, What's burning on my heart? McDonald's. McDonald's didn't give me heartburn. It's burning on my heart. It's burning on my heart. So I've got this article here because a lot of people like me, nitpickers, drive around and you're looking at the McDonald's these days, and it's come up. People have brought it up. They're wondering like what is going on with this, and I think it's indicative of the culture right now. That anyway, let me read the article. So I think this is a UK web page called My Move, something like that. Anyway, it's this is from March 16th. McDonald's redesign, a new era for fast food restaurants. McDonald's is undergoing a process of redesign. The new concept is revolving around the idea of a community center, a place for young people to hang out. In order to have McDonald's cope with the trend of slow food, they had to start paying more attention to showcasing and the eating experience. France was the first country to have a redesigned McDonald's. With this change, McDonald's tries to add young adults and professionals to their core customers, and that is why all the plastic will be replaced with clean and modern lines, wood, brick, and softer lighting from modern lamps. The signature mansard roof is being replaced by a flat roof topped with a newly designed golden sloping curve. The emblematic red and yellow colors will be revamped to terracotta, olive, and sage green. There is a design line kept in all the renovations, but every location has its own interior designer. Doubt. 3 of the UK restaurants are in the portfolio of SHH, the flag restaurant in the UK, McDonald's Norwich and McDonald's West Thurrock. In New York, McDonald's uses reproductions of Danish designer Arne Jacobsen's egg chair. That would be
the chair no one knows how to sit in.
Yeah. So it's you probably recognize it from Men in Black when Will Smith can't figure out how to sit in that thing. It looks like something Dr. Evil would sit in. So the egg chair, the Egg McChair, to give the restaurant a futuristic look. 3 major areas will give customers more choices. I always felt like I was limited in my choices when I went to McDonald's. Every time I went into a McDonald's, I was like, I wish
limited to like
I
15
had
numbers
more choices. Yeah, a linger area that features comfortable armchairs and sofas and Wi-Fi connections.
The worst name.
Yep.
Loiter area.
The loiter zone for homeless millennials. A bar-like area, the grab-and-go zone, it's called, with plasma TVs for
where
the
you
people.
Don't go.
Yeah.
You grab and stay, apparently.
Yeah, you grab-and-go zone, but then you also stick around for the plasma TVs. Plasma. For the people that eat alone, which is practically everybody that's still eating McDonald's.
In shame.
Yeah. And the family zone, where families can enjoy the meals in a colorful environment with fabric cushions and flexible seating. McDonald's began redesigning their restaurants in the UK and US. An estimate of 7,000 US restaurants will be rebuilt or modernized. The company has decided to a new 3-dimension approach to their expansion, menu changes, store renovations, and a new ordering experience.
Were they 2-dimensional before?
Yes, I guess. Yeah, they didn't have a menu.
They were in Flatland before.
If there's anything true about McDonald's, I know they never added anything to the menu. You know how they're never changing the menu
never
ever.
Yeah. Not even having seasonal things.
Nope. It's just constantly stagnant menu. It's just cheeseburger.
And that's it. You don't get any
Yeah,
option.
hamburger, another 5 cent for cheese. Those are your options, That was it. Because old McDonald's was a lot like the Soup Nazi from
Yes.
Seinfeld. It's like his way or get out. So they got the menu changes on their 3-dimensional approach, store renovations, which is what's ticking us all off, and a new ordering experience, which means we're getting rid of the employees. The design process was based on that idea, and this is from the president. He said of the company, not President Biden, because former Vice President Joe Biden, because he wouldn't be able to string a sentence together this long. People eat with their eyes first. If you have a restaurant that is appealing, contemporary, and relevant, both from the street and interior, the food tastes better. Which I don't have a problem with.
Straight from Rick Warren's mouth.
Yeah. So I don't have a problem with that statement. I think that's true. People do eat with their eyes first. I don't have a problem with the relevant both from the street and interior, food tasting better, having good atmosphere. All that stuff's important for a restaurant. Like you definitely want those things. That makes sense. The problem is that the contemporary bit, and then you're trying to apply that to a McDonald's, which is insane. It's insane, and I'm gonna say it's evil. What they've done, what they've done to McDonald's is evil. These buildings, these buildings are like communist gulags. They they are not communist gulag, communist ghettos. That's really what I want to say. They're just they look like
Mick Gulag.
Mick Gulag. They they are square jabs in your eye. They have no character whatsoever. And what I don't understand is that McDonald's used to be so proud of their position in the American landscape, right? Did you see The Founder with Michael Keaton? Great movie, love it, fantastic movie. For all the all the ways that they tried to make Ray Kroc look like an awful human being. He's an interesting character, right? And he played those things well. He was ruthless in his business. And they tried to make him look a lot better at the end with talk about all the charity work that McDonald's has done. You can't fault them for that. I mean, that's fine. But he got so it's like Kroc understood what the other two guys didn't get. That was the whole gist of it. It's like he wanted the thing that they had, and they didn't know what they had. And he's like, and that's the thing of a good salesman. Even if you're like a good Christian salesman, like if you're a Christian, you're trying to be a salesman. It's your job to sell a good product and convince people that your product is worth owning.
Right.
That it's gonna be good for them. If you have a good product, obviously you don't want to lie, right? But if you believe your product, then it behooves you to do a good job in selling it.
You should be able to sell a number 2 pencil.
Right. Because there's nothing not useful about a number 2 pencil, right? So Kroc kind of got McDonald's when the other guys didn't get McDonald's, and figured the whole United States needs these, okay? And then propagates that. And so McDonald's had this confidence. Like, what did it say on their sign? What did it say underneath of their signs? You know?
Not originally, I don't remember.
First it was millions and millions served, right?
Yeah.
And what's
billion, like over 2 billion served or something?
So, like, the statement that they're making is they've got the big golden arches out there. They're letting all their competition know we're the best. We're the top dog. We run the fast food industry in this country. We're letting our customers know that that statement of billions and billions served is like, we're part of you. Like, we've been with you all this time, feeding you our awful artery clogging food. But that's not what they're selling. They're not really selling food, right? I mean, they're selling a food experience that
they're really not selling food.
Right? Yeah. I mean, yeah. My camera crapped out. So they're selling. Yeah, it's not right. They're not, obviously they've never been selling health food. They've always just been selling hamburgers and things like that.
Didn't they try to sell salad at one point?
Yeah, they still do. I mean, yeah, they yeah.
I mean, it's like the weirdest thing.
Right.
You know what I want when I go to McDonald's?
Yeah, yeah. But
some leaves.
They're selling. I mean, what is a fast food place even doing to begin with? They're selling backyard picnic food quickly and trying to make it as much like that experience that people enjoy, on the fly. But McDonald's just became such a fixed part of any community that they didn't really have to sell the food anymore. They're selling McDonald's. That's what they're selling. So, you see the sign and you remember the taste, you remember the smells, as a kid, and that's why they marketed it to little kids. And it's like it's a pleasant, enjoyable experience. They're selling they're selling the fun to little kids. And then when little kids grow up, the tastes and the smells are selling it back to them again when they go into McDonald's. They want to go to McDonald's for the tastes and the smells because they unwittingly associate those things with, Daddy, can we go to McDonald's? Because I might get a toy and it's junk food and I eat French fries and have a milkshake, and my dad will probably buy my ice cream too because it's only $1 and he's not gonna squabble about that. But so what have they done? They've stripped these iconic buildings, these iconic structures. What did he call the roof? It's a mansard roof. Okay, it's pitched. The pitched roof is gone, and now it's got this flat roof. Everything's square. Even in this picture I'm looking at, you've got all these straight lines. It looks like something you'd see in like the mess hall on like a Star Destroyer or something. There just happens to be a couple of extra colors in there other than gray and white.
What's interesting to me about the modernization of the McDonald's, and especially the architecture and the way that they're designing things, is they were somewhat late to the game. Wendy's did it first.
Yeah.
And Wendy's did it right. Like, Wendy's doesn't feel like soul destroying.
Yeah, yeah.
And KFC did it right, which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
I've just noticed recently, like, all of a sudden I drove by one and I went, well, that's not what I remember. And seeing, well, they didn't do, but then realizing that doesn't look soul destroying. But then the McDonald's, it's gray, square, like so modern. It's so poorly done.
The Wendy's has a very prominent red Wendy's sign. The advantage that those companies had was that there's nothing really iconic about a Kentucky Fried Chicken or a Wendy's for that matter.
Right.
I don't.
Well, there was an iconic thing about the way that a Wendy's was shaped, like the buildings, and now they're not shaped that way anymore.
Okay.
But because you can always tell what used to be a Wendy's, just kind of how, like, you can tell what used to be a Pizza Hut. Like,
right, yeah.
You can always tell.
Yeah.
But
that's another one that they've destroyed. So that's a meme that I've seen going around was about, the great thing, like, remember what they've taken from you, right? So
Taco Bell did a terrible job too.
Yeah.
With, like, because they used to be like fun looking inside, and now when you walk in there, it's dark.
Yeah.
And it's like you had to adjust to the darkness.
Well, on top of the horrendous customer service.
Oh, right, yeah. And then
even McDonald's has better customer service than Taco Bell, and that's not saying much.
Yeah.
Not at all. Even Burger King has better customer service than Taco Bell. Taco Bell, it used to be Popeyes. Popeyes was the worst. Popeyes customer service was so bad.
It was the worst.
Really?
It was the worst I've ever had.
You know what? When I was your age, when I was a teenager, the customer service at Popeyes was so notoriously bad that that was part of
it. Was part of it.
That was part of it. Like, you just expected it to be awful, and you just came to accept it. Then I think the company got bought out or something, and they changed. They did the redesign and everything like that, and they kind of like relaunched the brand. And now it's way better. I mean, like, the brand is way better. There's Popeyes all over the place. It was hard to find a Popeyes back then, but we always had one in my town in Bensalem. And we were pretty certain that it was a drug front because it almost never did any business. Popeyes didn't do any business. There was nobody there. There was nobody there. It's the point my friends and I, we would play Dungeons & Dragons at the Popeyes because there wasn't anybody there. So we would eat fried chicken and play Dungeons and Dragons in the dining room. But then like guys would come in with like a bag, and they'd go to the bathroom, and then they'd leave, and they wouldn't have the bag anymore. So we were always like, is that how they're still open? And that building has been there forever, and it's always been a Popeyes. But anyway, you expected the service to be awful. So when they rebranded, I remember I went into the Popeyes, and the lady was like, about 75% Chick-fil-A, and she was like, hello, sir, can I help you today? Like, what'll your order be? And I was like,
did I walk in the right place?
I looked around and I said, listen, lady, I didn't come in here expecting to be treated like a human being. You're either going to give me an attitude or I'm walking out of here right now. Because it was so shocking that
I came here to pay to be abused verbally.
I came here for the abuse and the good chicken, okay? And in a funny way, that kind of ties in with the McDonald's thing. It's like this is the experience I'd come to expect, right? And I'm not being. It was always awful, but it was an experience. So you kind of had to like, get warmed up, do a little bit of stretching.
The cold water on your face
just kind of like, okay, Lord, I'm gonna be going into Popeyes. I'm gonna need your help to get through this. Just give me patience, and really get geared up to weather this confrontation you're gonna go through, so that you could get the chicken. Right, but then the chicken tasted way better, so you would go through with it anyway because it was good chicken as opposed to going to KFC, which was mostly just breaded grease. So, so that's what they're selling. But then, obviously, it's better now. It's like they rebranded it. It's better. But McDonald's, like, I think it's just the absolute biggest misstep. They completely misread everything. I went into the McDonald's that's like right down the street from the Popeyes that I'm talking about. And this McDonald's had been there forever. It's been there for as long as I can remember in Bensalem. I think it was one of the first McDonald's that was in Bucks County. It's got they bulldozed everything. So it had like
exactly which one you're talking
about. It
about.
had like the original big McDonald's sign, billions and billions served. It had the place, the playground in the background. It had these like two disjointed golden arches that went over, and then
out front it had the big golden arch, right?
It had a Mary McCheese tower, and that you'd be scarred for life if you went up into it because all the graffiti in there would like introduce you to new curse words and things you'd never heard of before as a little kid, and like it just got worse and worse. But so it was old school, and they'd done a couple of different. The building was the same, but they'd done a couple of different like redesigns, interior design, and changed the seats around and things like. But it was still the same. They had the fake plastic Ronald McDonald sitting on a bench there that you could get a picture with, and it smelled like a McDonald's. It had that old McDonald's smell, like mustard and onions and pickles, and but when they bulldozed it, it was like. They tore away the McDonald's. So people would that was a place where people would hang out. That's the thing that they don't understand. I remember guys from sports radio, they would run their show out of the McDonald's there. It was packed all the time. They were always doing tons of business. And it was an awful location. It was hard to get in and out of there. It didn't matter. People wanted to be at that particular McDonald's. It was kind of iconic to that place. I went in there after they bulldozed the building, and they put one of these square monstrosities there in its place. There's none of the old employees are there. They're all gone. There's hardly any employees at all. There's just people making the food and a manager.
Did they get bulldozed too?
Yeah, they might have. And then they've got the kiosks where you would plunk in your order, like the electronic. Okay, whatever. But then nobody even hands you your food.
no one makes it either.
It's almost like they designed these buildings for COVID. They knocked everything down. They used COVID as an excuse. They redesigned them so that you don't have any interaction with a human being. It's almost like you're at an automat from like the 40s or something. They hand you your food in a sack through a hole in the wall, essentially. You just see like the knuckles of a human being jut out and like hand you, yeah, maybe a human being, and they hand you the food. They just slide it at you, like, and then everything in the room is just giving you the impression, just leave, just take your food and go, just get out of here. We don't want you here. There's no reason for you to be here. I honestly don't even know. Just call your DoorDash delivery person and have them come pick up the food, because that's the only people we want to deal with. Because literally every other car in the drive-through lane is another DoorDash person coming to pick up food to deliver it to somebody who can't even be bothered to leave their house to get McDonald's. What's wrong with you people? You won't even leave the house to get your McDonald's. You are at the bottom. This is your wake-up call. If you are buying McDonald's through DoorDash,
this is an intervention.
This is an intervention. You need to stop yourself now.
Delete the DoorDash app.
Goodness gracious. But they've really said, it felt like my soul was being sucked out of me every second that I was in that building. There's nothing there for the kids. Everything in the room was square. The seats were uninviting. Like, even though they weren't the egg chairs, they were still like just square.
Yeah, they haven't modernized to that extent yet, have they? The article was saying that they changed all of the colors too, like getting rid of the gold.
Yeah,
for something for like olive and sage.
All I see is gray anymore.
And
I see
like,
gray and some like a line, like a pinstripe of yellow.
Right.
And that's about it.
It's the hollow shell of what McDonald's used to be.
Yeah. A
hollow shell of the Egg McMuffin.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's brutal. That's the word, right? It's brutality over form. It's brutality over
brutalist architecture.
Over art, right? It's the thing that people were complaining about with the Pizza Huts, right? So you had all those cool Pizza Huts with that
weird
iconic roof. I mean, like you can see a Pizza Hut a mile away. Like you just know what it is. And then they had those red tumblers.
Like the word hut to me is just like it brings memories of the roof up.
Right.
Because it's like the only tangible thing that I would have seen on a day-to-day basis that had the word hut attached to it is Pizza Hut with that weird roof.
Yeah.
So like to my brain when I hear the word hut, definition 1 is Pizza Hut with the weird roof, and then definition 2 is an actual hut. But
here's a really weird thing. So McDonald's was around when my father was a child. And even then, they were marketing their product to children.
Right.
You were going to McDonald's, and they were largely trying to make an impression on the children. Bring your children to McDonald's. And the children, it obviously resonated with them. They wanted to go to McDonald's. Then when my father sired me, I was being marketed to by McDonald's. And so I wanted to go to McDonald's. So now my father had fond memories at McDonald's, and now there's marketing to his son. His son wants to go to McDonald's. They're marketing to him. So now you have father and son going to McDonald's. Everybody's enjoying a memory, whatever cheap memory it is, right? That's not really that important. But now, and I don't know if it plays into this move of like depopulation or not, but somewhere along the line they said we need to stop marketing to children and market it to millennials, like the generation that we're very concerned with making sure are not having children, are not buying homes, are accruing debt, and are like the linchpin in some kind of plan to thin out the herd. They stopped marketing to the children. They're still targeting the children. It's just the children are in their 20s and 30s.
Right. Yeah, I would say it's interesting because it's, I mean, our population is not increasing.
Right.
Millennials are not having kids, and it seems to me like they probably hired a millennial, and the millennial who is a child himself or herself thought we should be marketing to people of my age group because millennials are like that. Me first. But,
right.
And part of the reason was probably because I have fond memories of McDonald's, so we should be marketing to my age group.
Right.
And it's probably an unconscious thing that just goes along with it, but it's probably that thing where it's like I'm a child still at heart, and so I have fond memories of McDonald's, and so we should market to my age group.
Yeah,
and not thinking about the fact that if you market to the children, you have fond memories there, and you can bring your own child there, and they can have fond memories.
Yeah, and that's like that was like my big issue, even with the Pizza Hut thing, where everybody complained about like the Pizza Hut redesign, because so many people had, and this wasn't really clear to me. I didn't really have these this attachment of memories to Pizza Huts. We grew up in the Pizza Belt, so like we have good pizza every.
I never thought about that, but yeah.
Well, yeah. So the Pizza Hut, the Pizza Belt runs from like Boston to Baltimore, I think, right? It's so the likelihood that you can find a good pizza within that stretch of the Eastern Corridor is like 9 out of 10. Like you could go to almost any pizza place and you will eat a decent pizza, pizza, right? But once you're outside of the Pizza Belt, it drops dramatically. Like you could go to a pizza place and it will be garbage pizza, right? So, but Pizza Hut had some consistency. So if you were outside of the Pizza Belt, but you went to a Pizza Hut, you're going to get a decent pizza, even though in the Pizza Belt, Pizza Hut pizza would be considered like barbaric. Like you don't eat that, but it's palatable. You could eat a Pizza Hut pizza, and it's different. It's a pan pizza. It's different kind of pizza, but I didn't really have like these terribly fond memories. But I remember going different places out in the rest of the country in more rural areas outside of the Pizza Belt, and I would I'd be there with like youth group trips and things like that, and I would see all these kids. They were there like after a baseball game or a soccer game or something like that, and the coach had like wrangled them all into the van and took the whole team out to the Pizza Hut after a big game. Like in our area, you'd go get ice cream. Pizza Hut was not the place you would take your whole team. But there, it's like you go to Pizza Hut, and it's like they have like these fantastic memories of being in the Pizza Hut in this rural area to get some good pizza, as opposed to the crappy pizza that they were usually accustomed to. But you got all the memories associated with the arcade games that were there, the salad bar, and the chandeliers, the light fixtures, and the red tumbler cups and things like that, and like all that stuff and the smells and everything was all indicative of this experience at Pizza Hut. And so I'm a little bit familiar with that. It's like, okay, I want to take my family now. I'm an adult. I want to take my family, have that experience at Pizza Hut. And you take your kids in there the first time, and it's like, why is there a bar? Why are they selling alcohol at Pizza Hut?
Why is it suddenly so dark?
Why is this person like insisting that I have a great time? Like, just give me a menu. Like, do you want a drink, sir? Like, are you talking to me? My kid my kid just read 10 books. Can you give her a free pizza? Like, what?
Right.
Why are you talking to me like this? Like, I know I
did
don't want a
that every
cocktail.
summer.
Like, why would I want a cocktail? I brought my children here.
At a Pizza Hut. It's
At a
the
Pizza
weirdest
Hut.
place to drink.
I'm like, what?
How sad do you have to be
Yeah,
to drink at a
like,
Pizza Hut?
enjoy our many plasma screen TVs and watch UFC fights. I'm like, this isn't a Buffalo Wild Wings. Like, don't you know what you are? Why are you confused about this? You're Pizza Hut.
What's interesting to me is when they did that at the Pizza Hut that's near me, is when they started combining a lot of Pizza Huts with the wing place.
Right, yeah.
And so I'm wondering if it was because the wing place was already a little bar-like, that they just jammed them together and ruined both of them.
I think that did. Because that's around the time when
I haven't seen just a Pizza Hut in a long time. I don't know if it's just because of where I am, but I have not driven past one that is only a Pizza Hut and not the whatever the wing place is.
And there could be more to it. I mean, like, I can remember going into Pizza Huts before they redesigned it and it being like pretty slow. It kind of had gotten like a bad reputation as like pretty lousy pizza. Some failed marketing moves probably, and so the old model probably wasn't working. So they like took a shot changing it into something else. But
I don't think it worked.
I don't think it was the right move. You know, I don't. It didn't work like the Wendy's remodel worked. You know, so I think they lost the thing that gave it its charm, and they didn't end up fixing the thing that kept everybody away. Right. And then they ended up killing the thing that would have kept me coming back with my kids to offer them more fond memories that they would associate with the smells and the sound of the tumblers hitting each other and the arcade machines and that kind of thing. So, so like the McDonald's, here's my message to everybody. I want this business to fail. I want McDonald's to completely collapse under its own weight. I want everybody to stop eating it. You know, forget the health benefits alone.
It's not even about that.
And I'm not even. It's not like I really like McDonald's. Like it is my preferred fast food restaurants. I get it. Like Burger King probably has better beef, and Wendy's definitely has better beef, and like there's probably places with buns that aren't like 80% air.
Burger King can fail first.
Yeah. Burger King's off. They're so woke and disgusting.
And their food is just awful.
Food is pretty disgusting. But I've got such a soft spot for that, like just basic taste of the McDonald's cheeseburger and like a Big Mac, and like there's just certain things that it's a guilty pleasure. I'll throw that all away to watch this business go completely bankrupt. We ought to do that as Americans. Destroy this company as an example to every company that thinks...
Not even about the ice cream machine.
What's that?
It's not even over the ice cream machine?
No.
Being broken
every
time?
That's the Popeyes thing. That's part of the deal. Like that's part of the disappointment.
Have you seen the tracker? There's a live tracker for how many McDonald's ice cream machines are broken at any given time. There's also a guy that investigated this and thinks it's a conspiracy theory, and it's fantastic.
All right, I'm willing to hear it.
They have a deal with a particular ice cream machine company, so it's like a contract where they have to use them. And the thing is that the machines get installed in the McDonald's cheaply, like almost for free, and they have to use them because of the contract. But they just are really confusing machines, and they break down all the time.
Right.
And it's like they're designed to just break down, and then they get them on. Because they're using that machine, they have to use that company's repair guy, and it's like $100 an hour to have the guy come and fix it.
Wow.
And then after like the first hour, the rate to have him there starts to go up exponentially.
What?
So it takes a lot, which is why all the time these franchised McDonald's can't fix the thing because they can't afford to fix it every 3 days because they break all the time.
Wow.
It's really, really
So they just
funny.
leave it broke. Just
they
not
do,
call them.
because it's like, why? Until they like start getting enough people to be like, your ice cream machine's broken every time I'm here.
Yeah.
And then they're like, finally they'll get it fixed, and it'll only work for like maybe a month, if that.
Wow.
It's like
That's awful. Yeah, and they, was it in the movie with Ray Kroc? They had the dairyless ice cream and the dairyless milkshake that
right.
they went with, and he felt like it tasted fine, and then they went back to having the freezers and the dairy products and stuff like that. Probably foolish. Probably should have just stuck with the crappy powdered thing that Ray Kroc wanted, and not worry about the freezers. Would have been just fine. But so anyway, I was like, why spend 40 minutes talking about McDonald's? We talked about brutalism in architecture a minute ago, and it just kind of plays into everything that's going on in the country in regards to beauty. Jordan Peterson just got, trashed on Twitter because he said that the whale that was on the swimsuit issue wasn't beautiful. And like she's not beautiful. Like objectively, she's not beautiful.
He should have picked his battles though. I don't think that was the right battle, but he's right, but it's just like it probably wasn't worth it.
I don't know why anybody's on Twitter, to be honest with you. Like just say what you want and like
I'm only on Twitter for Dr. Plummer and then Elon Musk. There's the two accounts.
I'm sure Dr. Plummer would be thrilled that he's in the.
I've told him
with Elon Musk.
I've told him a few times.
That's funny. So it's like they're trying to, and I've said this before, that it's not just that they hate beauty; they love anti-beauty. And I say anti-beauty. It's not the same as like ugliness. They're anti-beauty. They're not necessarily pro-ugly. They're anti-beauty. They hate beauty, and they can't have beautiful things around because beautiful things remind them of the glory of God. They remind them of the beauty of creation, and they can't stand it. So they have to destroy anything that might remind them of that. So they like wicked, ugly, awful things on top of the fact, like somebody who's just into maybe, let's think of something like horror movies or something like that. That's like appreciating ugliness, and you can kind of appreciate ugliness as long as it's like as a contrast to the beauty that's right there, kind of like magnifies the beautiful thing. So this is different than just like Dracula or something, and against the beauty of the girl that he's in love with. That's entirely different. This is anti-beauty. They hate beautiful things. Did you ever watch Roger Scruton's documentary on why beauty matters?
I didn't get around to it.
No,
not yet.
It's well worth. Anybody you can find it. I think it's on Rumble or BitChute or one of those other non-YouTube things. You can't find it on YouTube. But there's a lot in there about architecture and how our architecture has kind of crushed our souls.
It's your architecture is a reflection of your culture. So
yeah.
There's a reason that Gothic architecture is a certain way. There's a reason that Art Deco architecture is a certain way. There's a reason that Renaissance architecture is like that era is just a certain way.
Yeah.
And it's because they're embedding their culture in their art, and if it's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
It's just that our culture is soulless, and so we're embedding soulless, horrific, anti-beauty deathworks into our architecture instead of something to promote a second world culture, to use
Art Deco
terms.
Like Empire State Building, right? Like
yeah. I think that I appreciate Art Deco.
Sure,
there's something there. It's not quite to the point of being soulless. There's something still there. It's transitioning though, clearly, because it's becoming square and very utilitarian.
Yeah.
But it's still got. There's still beauty embedded into it, like objective beauty embedded into it.
There was some leftover. I think in the 70s and 80s. I think
definitely the 70s.
I think the beauty of things really, so a lot of people like to blame the 60s for like everything, but I think that you really saw almost the death of beauty in the 90s.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Oh, definitely, because I love grunge music, but grunge just the culture of grunge was to shock and appreciate the anti everything.
Yeah.
Like the whole
it was anti-style.
The way you dressed was intentionally trying to look like someone who was on heroin. That was the point.
Yeah,
of it.
That's how I dressed.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the point of it was to shock the system.
Well, and it was a rejection because the grunge stuff started coming in. Obviously, there was a grunge movement before it really hit the East Coast, but by the time it got to me, was the late 90s. And the early 90s was a nightmare for me. It was like it was Michael Jordan and Hammer Pants. It was commercialism to the nth degree. I remember just like nonstop being bullied about like what I was wearing wasn't the right brand, and the shoes I had weren't the right thing, so they weren't Jordans, or I didn't have the right pants on because they weren't Umbros or Z Cavaricis or whatever the heck ridiculous parachute pants, and this is all this nonsense.
I hope those make a comeback though. That would be hilarious.
Just leave them where they were. And
it's got to be this decade.
So then the grunge thing came by, and I'm like, I can do this. This I can manage. Like, I don't have the money. Like, my parents aren't gonna buy me any of these trendy nonsense. Like,
but I have
my parents could see
jeans. I got it.
I can dress like a bum, no problem. Like, sign me up. I was all about the grunge era. That was great, but it is a total rejection of any kind of style or art for sure. My kids.
As much as I love punk, I think punk started that too. Like, not started it, but like really pushed it to the nth degree.
Sure.
And then grunge just made it simple, whereas for punk rock it was like an intentional thing.
Flamboyant.
And I don't know if it was intentional with
flamboyant
grunge.
Homelessness.
Right. Well, right. With punk rock, it was let me do something that's for the shock value, whereas grunge was just a probably semi-conscious just rejection of whatever was going on in the culture. But punk rock.
My camera shut off. Let's see if this shuts off your camera.
Yes.
Yes, it did. Plug me back in. Reset. Noah. Me back in. Reset me. Nope, it doesn't like that. Didn't like you being reset either. Why? I need better cameras. Okay, that's and reset. Plug Noah in. Oh, okay. Now I'm you.
Okay. Flipped spots on the thing, or
I don't know what's going on with this thing. It's so silly. How did that change?
It's OneDrive's fault.
Apparently. Yeah, probably.
For the past 2 years, I've blamed everything on Zoom, just because I hate Zoom. But I guess
it's still putting me where you are. Now we're both back, but we've switched.
All right.
We've switched positions. Oh my word!
I'm the host now.
Now with your host Noah. Who cares?
Yeah.
Anyway, get used to it, people.
But yeah, punk rock was intentional. Like everything. It's funny how punk rock was a don't care about anything.
I can't do this. Go ahead, keep talking.
But yeah, punk rock was an intentional, like whatever the system thinks is wrong, like in the way that you look or dress, that's how we're going to do it.
Right.
Like, Liberty spikes and weird mohawks and dyeing hair and just everything about it was intentional. And at least in the 80s, I think punk rock calmed down by the time I was born to the point where it was just like, hey, this music's cool. But then the 90s with grunge, it was, I don't think it was all that intentional. I think it was just a rejection of the consumerism.
Yeah.
A radical rejection, but not anything like no intention to look like a heroin addict. They just actually were heroin addicts.
Oh yeah, they actually were. The so my point with that is that so my kids were watching Stranger Things. I don't know if you follow watching Stranger Things, and I remember the last season the Starcourt Mall and all the mall stuff is happening. And I remember them talking about, because we'll go to the malls nearby, and it's just dead. Everything's dead. There's nothing there.
Oxford Valley, that one, it's really funny to me that on the outside, there's a lot of signs still up that I think were put up when that thing was built and have never once been touched because they just look like 1980s, except sun-bleached.
Yep.
And I'm like, I love that because it's got that retro look, but it's like dying. And it's
it scares me.
It's perfect for what's going on inside the mall because it's like 80s, but it's sun-bleached and dying. And you look at the mall, and malls in general are just an 80s thing, but they're dying. It's like they're dying inside.
It's like I remember one of the times we took the family to Oxford Valley Mall, and we walk into one of the entrances. And it was like I could hear like something spinning. There was like some kind of design, and it was like all rusty. So it was like making this like squealing noise as it was going around, and had that. I almost was going to tell him like, okay, so we've got an exit plan, right? Like, so we're getting in there, we're getting our stuff,
and we're leaving,
and then we're gonna make our way to the car. Let's plan our route out on the map. It felt like we were doing a raid for a zombie movie to get supplies to get back to our house and get out of this.
I mean, there are mall zombies.
This post-apocalyptic zone that we were in, where I was half expecting to see like makeshift barricades, like in the outer wings of the hallways and stuff like that.
The last few times I've been to a mall, they have had makeshift barricades up at some of the stores that were closed.
It's rough. It's sad. I mean, and so they're like, my teenage daughter. Sometimes she like want to go to the mall with her friends. I'm like, why? Like, there's nothing. They still want to go, But then there's like hardly anything.
I don't see teenagers there anymore.
There's hardly anything to do. So we're watching the Stranger Things. They're looking at the Starcourt, and it's like, wow. It's like, was it really like that? And I was like, yeah. Yeah, it was. It really was like that. It's exactly what the mall was like.
Amazon killed it.
There was people everywhere. There were things to do. But yes and no. Amazon killed it because the malls, just like McDonald's, I think, they forgot what they were selling.
Right.
The mall was a gathering place for people to hang out. And just like McDonald's is saying, like, oh, we're going to revamp this so that we have people, so people can hang out. Nobody's going to hang out there. Like, get real. Like, no millennials are going to be hanging out at a McDonald's to watch your plasma screen TVs.
Not without avocado toast.
Right. The only people that ever hung out at a McDonald's were with kids. That's it.
Yeah.
Or people that were on their lunch break. People on their lunch break.
Or weirdos.
Just want to eat, and then they want to go back to work. And then, or weirdos, yeah. And then the other group of people is moms with little kids and grandmom and grandpa with little kids. Taking the little kids, get a Happy Meal, sit down, go play in the playground. We just blew an hour and a half at a McDonald's playing in the playground, eating French fries, and get whatever you want, kids. Like that's the deal. So if you're marketing the millennials, you're just going to go out of business. Millennials are not going to go there. It's like, even like you're not even marketing the right way to the group. Like, millennials don't know how to talk to people, let alone that they're not going to want to hang out. Millennials are not what you see in television commercials where everybody's drinking Zima and and listening to their Beats headphones and dancing together to music on their Bluetooth device. I don't know what they're doing, but none of that's going to happen. Even that's not going to happen at a McDonald's. Why are you trying to do that to yourself? It's so ridiculous. But the malls, it's like you could have done something to save the malls, but they kept raising the rent on all the things that were keeping people coming to the malls. You got rid of the pet stores; they couldn't stay in business. The arcades couldn't stay in business. The Cinnabons all left. Anything. I remember at Franklin Mills, when it first opened, huge mall. It was like the Star Court, and they had all these places where you could have kiosks and things like that, people selling toys and things. But they had this one business. It was the Fudgery, fudge something. I don't know. They sold fudge, but their thing there was that you could watch them with their paddles or whatever, like mixing the fudge and
Not
flipping
making
it.
The joke I was gonna make.
Yeah. So like, this is before June became Gay Frog Month. So the paddles, they're flipping this stuff around and they're mixing the fudge and they're making it, forming it into things, and they're selling it to people. And they'd sing songs and stuff like that. So people were like, there was a railing and they had like a crowd and like people were just watching them make stuff and sing and tell jokes and stuff like that. Well, they couldn't stay in business because they're selling fudge, for crying out loud. How much money could you possibly make selling fudge at a mall to be able to pay the rent? So they went out of business relatively quickly, and then things just started going down. So like, there's no reason to hang out there and do stuff at a mall. Then you're not going to go spend money there on anything else either. So that's what they could sell. Amazon can't do that. Amazon can't sell you a hangout space and an experience and a date night.
Yeah. Malls need to have the weird, almost carnival-esque kind of a thing to them.
Perfect way to describe it, yeah.
Where it feels like whimsical in a way, because it attracts the kids. It attracts teenagers because there's just weird things that you can go do. And instead, it's the Simpsons joke where Bart walks in to get something like boots or whatever, and then the guy's like, "You got 5 minutes, kid. We're turning into a Starbucks." And he walks out with the boots or whatever it was and a cup of coffee. It's already a Starbucks. So and every store in the mall is a Starbucks.
Just becomes Starbucks. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the last time I was at the King of Prussia Mall. There's got to be 10 Starbucks in that mall. Like, it's every 5 stores is like a Starbucks.
King of Prussia.
Yeah.
It's not a Starbucks, but it's not Starbucks, but it's trying to be.
It's about to become one. Like
no, but I mean, it's like some other coffee co. It's like Green Mountain Coffee Company or something like that, and it's like okay, well, like it feels like Starbucks, but it's not actually Starbucks.
Or it's just a weird, like the weirdo hangout where that's the only thing that can still stay in business, like the Hot Topic or the Spencer's. Those are the only things that are in every mall still.
Yeah, I don't know how are they doing it? How are they still?
Because the weirdos still go to hang out there.
Yeah,
like, that's it.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, GameStop's still making it.
I don't know how.
Stonks.
Yes.
The how are the Chinese food places? They're still in the food court. They're like the only places that can stay open.
Well, it's because people spend money there, I think.
Wow, is that the trick?
They can afford the rent.
I don't know how. Like, the health department shuts them down constantly, and somehow they're still making it.
As if someone's surprised.
There's almost more employees at the 3 Chinese restaurants in the court than there are people in the mall. It's like all the family members of the 3 Chinese food places are still there working, trying to give free samples to each other because they're like right next to each other in the food court. but yeah, I was like telling my kids like, yeah, it was like that, and so the '80s still had like, well, you can tell because it's like if I say like '90s style, not like people don't really know what exactly you're talking about. When you say the '80s, it does bring to mind like a certain um, style of dress and like the way things are, the fonts that you would see, and the design
Right.
of certain things.
Even for people like me that just didn't live through
Yeah,
it
yeah.
all.
I think that's like one of the funny things with like the white boy summer stuff and everything. It's all very '80s.
Right.
All the memes that are coming out, they're all have like the titular like white dudes from like the bad guy that always had like their sweater tied around their neck, but they got the
Right.
cool shades on and like those laser beams on the on things, and
The pit viper glasses.
the pit viper glasses. Like it had a style to it, and it was like that's the last time there even was a style that was very distinctive in America that was going on, and
the
it's
90s was just either heroin or like perms.
yeah.
So
But as I look at it, it's like I look at the late '90s through the 2000 to now, and honestly, it's like everything just stagnated. Nothing's really changed all that much. I don't see it. Technology has changed. People have gotten further apart, but everything's kind of just stopped.
something I found interesting is the early 2000s. I mean, just in terms of what you're saying, but speaking of like the way people dress style, the early 2000s was just hell. It was terrible. It was just like the worst thing imaginable. But then the late 2000s was just weird because everyone had their goth emo thing going on in the late like O's around 2009 till like 2013. And then the last half of the thing, it like kind of found something that was just modern and ugly and standard. It
Like
felt
the
like
end
the
of the
McDonald's.
'90s again.
But what I found interesting is that right towards the end, like I guess 2016 through now, there's been this, instead of finding its own thing, it's been a bit of a combination of what it was when it finally found this modern thing with something else that had its own character. So it's like going back to the 80s. The style right now amongst everyone on like Cairns campus is like you walk in there and you feel like you walked into Stranger Things because everyone's dressed like they're straight out of the 80s.
Right.
Which is funny because I was doing that for a while just because I thought it was funny.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I still kind of am doing that. But like, it's just like I've seen kids at Cairn with mullets. And it's just
Awesome.
weird. It's cool. I think I think it's funny, but like it's an interesting thing about how our culture doesn't have anything to move to. They're going back to something else to try to find any sense of like
Yeah,
it's all retrospective.
Yeah.
For like, let's take something from there that has some sort of nostalgia, even to people that weren't alive,
right,
and bring it into something now so that it's got this like pure like
nostalgia. So nostalgia is different than tradition, I think.
right.
Nostalgia is what ends up ruining things like Star Wars.
Exactly, and I think it's gonna ruin
Nostalgia
the 80s style.
That kind of thing you're talking about is probably not good in the way that embracing a tradition is good. I was just watching this thing, Jordan Peterson talking about Pinocchio, and he was saying that Geppetto represents the traditions of the past, and Pinocchio being the hero and the son and the future, but Pinocchio's encountered the chaos and he's come out of it, and then so Geppetto's in the ship inside of Monstro, and he can't figure a way out of the whale, so Pinocchio immediately, everything is so fast paced in Pinocchio. It's much more fast paced than you'd think, but he immediately is like, all right, well, like we just gotta tear the ship down and build a fire, and then the fire will get him to blow us out of his mouth, but the ship is like, well, no, this is what's keeping us alive. We need to, so Geppetto's like, no, I gotta save her, but Pinocchio is going to be the one that rescues his father, who's the tradition. So Geppetto needs Pinocchio because Pinocchio's the one that's going to keep the tradition alive.
Right.
But Pinocchio needs his father because without his father, he doesn't understand anything about who he is at all. He has to rescue his father. Geppetto needs Pinocchio, in order to continue on and keep living. So, so that's like the passing on of tradition that people have been trying so hard to kill. And then what you end up left with is you don't have those traditions to solidify you and make you whole and give you useful things so that you can face the unknown and make new things happen, right? What did George Lucas do with Star Wars? Okay, George Lucas, when he made Star Wars, what was his foundation? Westerns, samurai movies, the myths of the past. And so he combined all those things, and then he made a new thing out of it and blew the world away. Is anybody in the Star Wars franchise doing that now? Heck no. No way. They're not even coming close. Like when Josh Whedon made the Firefly series, it's like it's kind of what Lucas did. It's like it's a sci-fi, but it's a Western. So he took Western themes and he put it in space. That's a new thing. Okay, great. But if you don't ever move on from that, or you don't replicate that and then make something new out of that pattern, you're not doing the pattern to make things new. You're just constantly dipping back into that same well again to try to. I always call it like you can't recreate Woodstock.
Yeah.
Everybody's always trying to recreate Woodstock, or like you have a great party one weekend. Everybody comes to your house. You have a great party. Everything went well. Everybody had a good time. And then there's always that one person's like, hey, let's do it again next week. It's like, no, we can't. We can't do it again next week. Why not, man? Like these people are like addicted to a good time. They're like, we can't because the ingredients of it was spontaneous, or like things just worked out the way that they did. And like, you're going to be wanting that thing. It's not there anymore. It's gone. It died that weekend. Right. So remember it, but remember the pattern. And we'll do it again some other day, when the timing is right, or somebody else will have another great idea. Hey, let's go axe throwing or something stupid like that, and then we'll have a great time doing that. But it's not going to be the same thing again. The pattern's going to be there. The tradition might remain, but it's got to be new and fresh at the same time. But it's what they're always missing. They keep dipping in the well of nostalgia, and then they miss their tradition because they keep trying to kill their traditions. Right. That's the bulldozing of McDonald's. They just bulldoze the whole structure and built some awful thing.
Right.
I can't get over it.
It's the one of the foundations of society is tradition, and anything new has to come out of that tradition. You can't just do something without something to hold on to from the past. It's not going to work.
No, you won't have anything. You won't have anything to smack you upside the head and tell you that you're being stupid. Like what George Lucas had when he was making the first Star Wars. He had a bunch of people. He constantly complained about all the people he had to fight with to make this movie. He didn't understand. Like all these people he was fighting with were the people reining him in and helping him make it something good. The collaboration with it and the struggle to make it. Once he had no struggle at all, he made those awful prequel movies that were just absolutely terrible and nearly destroyed Star Wars until not Joss Whedon. What was it? J.J. Abrams?
Yeah. Until
he came around and destroyed it, and then Ruin Johnson destroyed it all. But I'll have to talk about Star Wars some other day.
The quickly about the Star Wars thing though. What's really fascinating to that point is, have you ever seen the behind the scenes stuff from the first one, from just Star Wars, where it's just people yelling at him and figuring stuff out, and it's like it looks like the way you would make an actual movie.
Yeah.
And then have you seen the behind the scenes stuff for the Phantom Menace?
Oh yeah.
Where it's just
nobody argues with him.
No one knows what's going on.
Nope.
They build the sets before he writes the script, and then they have to rebuild the sets because they hired Liam Neeson, who's too tall for the sets because they were going to head height like 1 inch above it, and then CGIing everything, and he was too tall for the sets. And then they screen the movie at the end of this big documentary about making it, and he's like, "I may have gone too far in a few places," which is the best line I've ever heard. Anything ever is him going, "I think I may have gone too far in a few places," and everyone going, "We can't fix it. Like, this isn't A New Hope. We can't fix this in editing."
Yeah. Right. Yeah. They're just there was nothing else they could do. Yeah, and that all goes with what we're talking about. I mean, like it's just the destruction of beautiful things, and then we all end up suffering for it. But the left is always trying to destroy beautiful things. They're always trying to destroy traditions. That's why when people go see historical buildings, and we look up at them, and we look at we go into Philadelphia, you go see the Capitol building or something like that, or some of the old buildings, and you look at it and you're like, how did they have time? How did they build this? Like it seems
any cathedral,
like it seems unfathomable. Like,
any old cathedral,
we can't come, and that's what always cracks me up when people are like, "Oh, how did they go to the moon? Where they didn't even have good computers. We have good computers." Like, we can't build a stone building,
right,
to save our life. We can't build that. We can't do masonry like people used to do. We can't build the beautiful columns that they used to put on buildings. And we're just talking about like our forefathers in America, let alone like the Romans or the Greeks or something, the things that they were building. They're amazing. And then people are like, "Oh, how'd they go to the moon without our fancy computers?" Like, we're incapable of doing anything practically.
Have you, speaking of this, I can't believe I didn't remember this because I was just looking at it a few hours ago and wanting to die. When Notre Dame burned down, you remember that?
Yeah.
Did you see what their plans are for the rebuilding?
No.
They're changing it, and it's going to have a stainless steel spiral, and the ceiling's going to be all glass. It is going to be the McDonald's update of Notre Dame. It looks awful what they're going to do to this thing. I mean,
I don't know.
I'm sad about Notre Dame burning in one sense because it's beautiful architecture, but when it burned down, there was also that reformed iconoclast in me that was like, kind of yes.
Keep burning.
It's like, kind of yes.
Nah, I don't know. I don't get like that.
I watched it burn and I was like conflicted. I was like, I don't know.
I mean, I get that. I just loathe when beautiful historical things burn. Period. I mean, even my enemy's
it was like
structures.
90% sad. It was just that little 10% of me that was like, I mean, there's a lot of idolatry in there.
I mean, I would never want to see something like the Kremlin burn or it's beautiful. I mean, it's iconic. You destroy something like that, you're breaking a stained glass window, and it's awful. It shouldn't be done. The only other thing that I would say is like the idolatry of certain things. I think that there's a place for the Hezekiahs to come and tear down the high places and the Asherah poles, dead relics like that. I don't know. This
is what they're gonna do to it.
Yeah, that's awful.
I don't know if that'll show up on there, but
yeah.
it is just the worst thing that they're going to do to Notre Dame.
That looks like something that would have came out of the prequels from
it looks
Star
like
Wars,
Naboo.
like the Jedi. The Jedi live there, and they groom kids. So,
just like Disney,
just like the Catholic Church. So, all right, man. I think we've exhausted our ire toward McDonald's at this point. But I was serious about that. Like, we ought to make this business collapse. That we need to make them pay for what they did. As an example, we don't need McDonald's anyway. As much as I'm talking about how much I love and I miss the old style, it was such a misstep. No one should go in. There's no reason to go in there anymore. You don't need it. You will not get the same experience out of that building, that square, awful, lifeless, soulless building that you would have gotten out of any old McDonald's that Ronald McDonald himself would have been proud to welcome you in, put his arm around you at the bench and sit down and take a picture with you while you ate some French fries and a milkshake. That stuff is long gone. And the company itself destroyed it. They destroyed themselves. So you owe them nothing. You owe them none of your loyalty because they were not loyal to you. They couldn't even be loyal to themselves. They destroyed everything that made them what they were. And then every time they do that, they're telling you you're stupid for liking the thing that they spent the last 70 years or whatever selling us and telling us that they were part of our community and whatnot. They don't believe it. They think they're better than you, and they think they know better than you. So, Brett Lynn signing off. All right. See you later, everybody. All right.